Hello and welcome back to another random Formula 1 things. My name is Alex as F1 Stuff and we are doing another episode of the double points finale. So for those of you who haven't seen the previous two episodes, I'll pop some cards in the corner as well. What I've done is in this video we cover 5 seasons of Formula 1 and we will make the last round a double points scoring round, much like the 2014 season, and we will see what effect that has on the overall championship. There will be a round by round update of the championship as well, with the top 5 drivers of the championship being coloured multicolours, different colours, simply because in the 60s, the era that we're about to go through now, there were so many Ferraris and Coopers and Lotuses and things like that, it makes more sense to differentiate each of the top 5 drivers compared to teams. So the seasons that we will be covering in today's episode is a new decade, 1960 all the way up to 1964. So let us start with the very first one of that list, 1960. So in 1960 we saw Jack Brabham crowned the champion officially, but how will he fare in the double points finale realm? We start with round 1 in Argentina, where McLaren comes away with a victory, with Allison in second and Mendick third, scoring 8, 6 and 3, and he is now 2 points clear of Allison. Round 2 in Monaco, Moss picks up a victory, so Sir Stirling Moss, McLaren on the podium again with Phil Hill in third, so McLaren still leads the table, 6 points clear from Moss. Heading to the Indy 500 now, this is again an odd one that Formula 1 decide to include. After all, Rathman gets a victory from Ward and Goldsmith, but Bruce McLaren still leads the championship, 6 points clear from both Moss and Rathman. And round number 4 we move to the Netherlands, where Jack Brabham scores a victory, the first of the season. Ireland is in P2 and Graham Hill gets third place. Yet it is still McLaren who does actually fail to score in the Netherlands, but he still leads the way, 3 points clear from Moss. Belgium is up next and Brabham takes his second victory in a row, with Bruce McLaren second and Gendebien in third. But McLaren still leads the way, 4 points from Brabham now and 9 points clear from Moss. Also in Belgium, a notable point scorer is Jim Clark down in 19th. But France is next and Brabham secures himself his third victory in a row, scoring 8 points, with Gendebien in second and Bruce McLaren in third, scoring 4. So we now have a tie at the top, the two Coopers, McLaren on 24 and Brabham on 24, and they are both 13 points clear from Moss. As we head to round number 7 in Great Britain, Jack Brabham secures himself his 4th victory, scoring another 8 points for his campaign, with Surtees getting on the podium, scoring 6 points, and Ireland in third. So we now have Brabham leading 5 points clear from McLaren and 21 points clear from Moss. So round 8 in Portugal now, Brabham secures himself victory number 5 in a row, with Bruce McLaren second and Jim Clark in third place. So after Portugal, Brabham is 40 points, McLaren on 33, and Ireland now third on 12. So as we move to the penultimate round in Italy, Phil Hill bags himself a victory, scoring 8 points, Ginter in second scoring 6, and Meiresi scoring 4. So Brabham fails to score, as does McLaren, still on 40 and 33 points, but Phil Hill is now third on 15, 18 points back, and outside of the championship contention, so it is only Bruce McLaren or Jack Brabham that could win. So heading into the final round, Bruce McLaren has to finish in the top 3 to win the championship. If he is 4th, he does not win. If he wins, Brabham has to be 3rd or lower. If he is 2nd, Brabham needs to be 5th or lower. And if Bruce McLaren is 3rd, Brabham has to score no points. So let's get into the final round. At the USA, Moss comes away with a victory. Ireland is in second place. McLaren does secure a podium, but Jack Brabham picks up some points and finishes on 46, 5 points clear from McLaren. So it did not work in 1960. How about 1961, the championship where Phil Hill won his very first? Let's get straight into that. And I haven't animated it at all. Fantastic. Well, we'll just run through this. So Moss gets a victory in Monaco, then Von Trips gets a victory in the Netherlands, Phil Hill bags his first of the season in Belgium, and then Baghetti gets a victory in France. So that is 4 races, 4 different winners, and at the end of it, Phil Hill leads Von Trips by 1 point, with Ginter in third on 12 points, 7 points back from Phil Hill. Another notable feature about this season is they've dropped the Indy 500 from it. So that is a huge plus. We don't end up with any random names popping into this anymore. Well, at least I've chosen to animate the last half of this season. As we move to Great Britain, Von Trips secures his second victory of the season, the first repeat winner, Phil Hill in second and Ginter third. So Von Trips now moves up ahead of Phil Hill on 27 points to his 25. As we move to Germany, Moss secures himself his second victory of the season, Von Trips in second and Phil Hill third. Trips still leads the way, 4 points now from Hill, with Moss in third. 15 points back. As we go towards the penultimate round in Italy, Phil Hill bags himself his second victory of the season, Dan Gurney is in second, and Bruce McLaren is in fourth, the title contender from last season, only finishing third. So heading into the final round with Phil Hill 5 points clear, if Von Trips scores a victory in the United States, he is the champion regardless of where Phil Hill finishes. If Von Trips is second, Hill needs to be fourth. If he is third, Hill has to be sixth or lower. And if he is fourth, Hill has to score no points. Any lower than fourth for Von Trips, and that is it. Done. As we go towards the final race of the season, at the United States Grand Prix, Ireland comes away with a victory, Gurney in second and Brooks third. Von Trips fails to score, as does Phil Hill, but that does mean that the American is still the Formula 1 World Champion, so it did not work in 1961. How about 1962? So 62 was a bit of a longer season, and it was the first Brit since Mike Hawthorne winning the championship officially, and that was Graham Hill. Let's see how he fares. So round number 1, he comes away with a victory, with Taylor in second and Phil Hill in third. Honestly, the amount of hills in this, I got very, very confused. But round number 2, we head to Monaco, and McLaren comes away with a victory, scoring 9 points, Phil Hill second and Bandini third. So Graham leads the way on 10 points, from Phil Hill on 10 as well, and McLaren on 9. Belgium is round 3, and Clark gets himself a victory, with Graham Hill second and Phil Hill third. France is round number 4, and Dan Gurney secures himself a victory, with Mag second and Ginter third. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that name, but we now have Graham Hill leading 16 points, Phil Hill on 14 and McLaren 12, with Clark and Gurney on 9. As we head to Great Britain now, and Jim Clark secures a home victory in 1962, with Surtees in second and McLaren third. It was a Britain 1 and 2 at the British Grand Prix, but Graham Hill still leads the way on 19 points, from Clark now in second on 18 and McLaren on 16. Germany is round number 6, and Graham Hill secures himself a victory, from Surtees and Gurney, taking a 7-point lead in the championship now and 9 points ahead of Surtees. As we head into the last leg of the championship, we go to Italy, with Graham Hill securing himself another victory, his second in a row and the third of the season. Ginter is second and Bruce McLaren is third. So Graham is now 15 points clear of Bruce and 16 clear of Clark. So the USA now, someone has to do something to claw back some of this distance to Graham Hill. Clark comes away with a victory, but Hill is P2 with McLaren third. So there is now a 13-point gap between Clark and Hill, with Bruce McLaren 17 points behind. So it is still technically a 3-horse race, but the chances of McLaren winning this championship are very, very low. He has to win, with both Hill and Clark failing to score, whereas for Clark to win the championship, he needs to win as well, with Hill scoring no points. whereas all Hill has to do is finish 5th and he is the champion. And what does he go and do in South Africa? He comes away with a victory, scoring 18 points, McLaren in 2nd scoring 12 and Mags 3rd scoring 8. So it didn't work in 1962 either. This is a very running theme now. How about 1963? So 1963 saw the first championship for Jim Clark. Let's see how he fared on his season. So we start with round 1 in Monaco. Graham Hill comes away with a victory and Ginter in 2nd with McLaren 3rd. Whereas Belgium sees a victory for Clark, the first of the season, with McLaren in 2nd and Gurney 3rd. So what is it now? McLaren leads the way with 3 drivers on 9 points, 1 point behind him. The Netherlands, Clark scores himself another victory with Gurney in 2nd and Surtees 3rd, so Clark is now 7 points clear from Ginter. Clark again bags himself another victory in round 4 at France from Mags and Graham Hill. He is now 15 points clear from Dan Gurney in the Brabham. Great Britain is up next, and it is a all-British podium with Clark scoring his 4th victory in a row, Surtees in 2nd and Graham Hill in 3rd. So Clark now leads by an astonishing 22 points. But Germany sees his victory run come to an end with Surtees bagging himself another victory, but Clark is still in the top 3 with Ginter 3rd. So his lead is now only 21 points down from 22. Let's see how Italy fares. He bags himself another victory and he is now 27 points clear from Ginter, who finished 2nd. Heading into the last 3 rounds now, it is very difficult for Jim Clark to lose this championship, but let's see how he does with the 3 rounds left to go. Graham Hill bags himself a victory in the United States with Ginter 2nd and Clark 3rd. So he is now 25 points clear from Ginter. And a race at Mexico, Clark bags himself a victory. I think that is victory 6 of the season. And that is it. The championship is all over. There is only 1 more round left to go at South Africa. But with 30 points, the difference between Clark and Ginter, it is all done. Clark is still the champion. But of course, in South Africa, in true Jim Clark fashion, he comes away with another victory and smashes past Alberto Ascari's most points in a season, scoring 82, more than double the amount of points than Ginter in P2. So it didn't work in 1963. How about 1964, the last season of this episode, a season in which John Surtees claimed his first Formula 1 World Championship? We will start with Monaco, and Graham Hill bags himself another victory. I believe that's his 3rd around the Principality. In the Netherlands, Clark comes away with a victory with Surtees 2nd and Arundel 3rd. But Graham Hill and Clark are tied at the top, with Arundel in 3rd as well. Belgium, Clark comes away with another victory, scoring 9 points, with McLaren in 2nd scoring 6 and Brabham 3rd. So Clark now takes the lead, 7 points clear from Graham Hill. Round number 4 at France, Dan Gurney secures himself a victory with Graham Hill securing 2nd place and Brabham in 3rd again. So the points gap is now 1 point between Clark and Hill. Britain sees another British podium with Clark, Graham Hill and Surtees all on there. Clark coming away with the victory is now on 30 points, 4 points clear from Graham Hill. Germany now as we hit the halfway mark of the 1964 season, and Surtees claims his first victory with Graham Hill in 2nd and Bandini in 3rd, but Hill still leads the way, 2 points clear from Clark, but Surtees is now up to 3rd on 19 points, 13 down from Hill. As we move to the first Grand Prix in Austria, Bandini comes away with a win for Ferrari, Ginter in 2nd and Anderson in 3rd. The points are still the same, with Graham Hill on 32, Clark on 30 and Surtees on 19. As we travel into the last 3 rounds, it is Italy up next, and Surtees bags himself a victory with McLaren 2nd and Bandini 3rd. The gap is now 4 points from Surtees to Hill and 2 points from Clark to Hill. As we go to the penultimate round of the championship in the United States, Graham Hill bags himself a victory with John Surtees in 2nd and Siffert in 3rd. So Graham Hill leads going into the finale, 7 points behind, or in front, of Surtees and 11 points in front of Clark. So for Surtees to win the title, he has to finish first with Hill third. If he finishes second, Hill has to be fifth, and if he finishes third, Hill has to score no points. Any lower than third, and Surtees will not win the championship. So as we head to the final round in Mexico, Dan Gurney comes away with a victory with Surtees in second and Bandini in third. Graham Hill fails to score, which means John Surtees is still the Formula 1 World Champion for 1964. So no, it still hasn't worked. But are there any seasons where it will? In the next episode of my Double Points finale series, we will cover the seasons 1965 up to 1969 in the hopes of finding the first season where the Double Points finale will genuinely affect the championship finishing positions. Also, as a little side note, I have officially finished with the video. If you want to click off now, by all means. The next few videos, I'm just trialing different audio levels in my editing to try and find a decent match. Same with the music in the background, because the last 2 episodes of mine, the music has been really quiet. I'm just working on different audio levels and things like that, so it might chop and change over the next couple weeks of different audio levels. I really need to work on making my explanations a bit more concise. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I will catch you in the next video, whatever I decide to make. I'll see you then.